Welcome to Module 10. The chapter on Mixed Methods Procedures introduces us to mixed methods procedures as a methodology. The text is covered in depth how to write up a quantitative methodology as well as a qualitative methodology. However, the mixed methods procedure is just a combination of both of these two. In this chapter, you will learn the important elements contained in a mixed methods section in preparation for a proposal. Remember that while mixed methods can involve a little bit more time, the outcome of that is that you get the perspective of both the quantitative and the qualitative research to give you a more holistic approach to your data analysis. When writing the research section of a mixed methods study, you want to begin by defining mixed methods. You can find this definition already provided to you in Chapter 1 of the text. Next, you want to discuss that many different terms are used for this approach. It's always a good idea to educate the reader on the history of mixed methods approach to research. Don't forget to include statements on the value and the rationale for choosing mixed methods. This is a section where you can pretty much validate your reasons for choosing that specific research approach. You also want to mention some of the challenges that mixed methods approach can pose for the inquirer. When looking at a mixed methods design, there are several choices. You may choose a convergent parallel design, an explanatory sequential design, an exploratory sequential design, an embedded mixed method design, a transformative mixed method design, or a multi-phase mixed methods design. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful of complicated terms. For this reason, you should make sure you have a solid grasp on the approach that best meets the needs of your particular research and goes along with its purpose. These designs will be explained more in depth in this PowerPoint as well as in your text. So let's start with the convergent parallel mixed methods design. This is one of the most commonly used approaches for a mixed methods design. Convergent parallel designs look at the qualitative and the quantitative aspects of the research by analyzing the data separately and then comparing those results with one another. The key assumption here is that qualitative and quantitative data can provide different types of information, but they can also yield results that will be about the same. For example, if I think that students who work full-time are going to have a harder time graduating, I might choose a convergent parallel design that uses a survey for some students and interviews others. Then I would analyze the data from the survey, then the data from the interviews, and I would compare them. I'm likely to find that students reported very similar things. An explanatory sequential design is another type of mixed methods design that appeals to individuals who have a strong quantitative background. It's basically a two-phase approach where the quantitative data is collected and then analyzed, and this data then allows the researcher to follow up for clarification using qualitative processes. This method allows for a quantitative portion to help in the selection of participants for that qualitative portion. For example, I might first want to survey 50 students about their perceptions of online courses. From those results, I might then be able to choose 25 of those students for whom I really want them to elaborate a bit on their responses. So then I would interpret those results as a whole. An exploratory sequential design is the complete opposite of an explanatory design. In an exploratory design, there's also a two-phase approach. However, qualitative data is collected first and then analyzed. From this analysis, participants can be chosen to participate in the quantitative portion of the study. For example, I might want to choose 15 students to interview about their perceptions of an online course. I would then analyze this data and pick out more students to survey. Then the combination of these results would be interpreted. Embedded mixed methods designs nest one or more forms of data into a larger overall study. For example, a researcher might want to survey participants before an experiment, after an experiment, or even during an experiment. There's a broader purpose, but this quantitative survey is sort of embedded in the larger picture, so it does give a piece of the overall pie, but it's not the sole purpose of the research. Transformative mixed methods designs are a little bit newer in the research world. These types of designs focus on using a social justice theory in your research. This could be centered around things like feminism, oppressed populations, etc. And finally, a multi-phase mixed methods design is used when a researcher wants to conduct several mixed methods projects and then combine them to get a final product. This can be seen in things like new program implementation, where one phase is rolled out at a time to form a complete overall plan in the end that could possibly be modified several times. While I know all of this information can seem a bit convoluted, it really emphasizes the point that you must be very specific and detailed in presenting your research design. It's not enough to simply say that you're using a mixed methods design. What kind of mixed methods design? Perhaps you plan to use a convergent parallel mixed methods design. Be specific about this. In order to do that, you must first heavily weigh which mixed methods approach is going to work best for your particular research. Then you can begin to explain how and why this is the most appropriate approach out there. People who understand the research process know whether or not you know your methodology terms. This is true in your proposal process as well. Once you have chosen your design, make sure you practice saying it over and over again. You'll notice that there's a slide dedicated to choosing a mixed methods project, the expected outcomes, and the types of designs that go along with it. I encourage you to look at this particular chart as well as to study all of the information of the mixed methods section of your book to help you gain a better understanding of mixed methods designs. While I understand if you're going to choose a quantitative approach or a qualitative approach, this won't be the chapter where you spend the majority of your time. However, if you intend to use a mixed methods approach, you should spend most of your time in this chapter. Nonetheless, this chapter is important because it's vitally important that you understand what a mixed methods design can bring to any research project.